Welcome to Two Lawyers Talk Legacy. I am Lisa K. Crawford, attorney at law, joined by my co host, attorney Sandy Boyce Ron. And we're calling ourselves Lisa K. and Sandy B. So, no need for the formalities, but we're here with you on today and every Wednesday at 10 a.m. for Two Lawyers Talk Legacy. And today, the title of our show is called I Have Nothing. And we're going to get all into that. but Sandy, welcome. And thank you for being here. Thank me for being here. And thank all of you for joining us. We're just
Thank
happy to be here.
Absolutely, guys. So we decided to kind of branch into this topic of conversation, which includes probate and guardianship, heir property, wills and trusts. Because as many of you may know, we both are attorneys. We both practice in the area of probate and estate planning. And there are many things that we come across on a daily basis that really trigger a lot of questions. And this concept today of I have nothing is probably the most popular question that I would say I get. I don't know about you, Lisa, but I know that this is probably one of my most popular questions. I have nothing. What do I need to estate plan for? What do I need to do that for?
Sandy, I have heard this a million times from people. Oh, I ain't got nothing. I ain't got nothing nobody would want. Why do I need to do any type? Why do I need a will? Why do I need anything? So, yes, it is a fallacy to think that way. And we want to show you exactly why. But let me kick it off by giving you some of the reasons people don't engage in estate planning, or at least the reasons why they put it off. On my list, I have procrastination and fear of the process and the cost. Those are just a few of the things.
Yeah, I think procrastination for me, if I think of that list, is probably the highest on the list, because when I think about the money aspect, we find the money for what we need to do. That's bottom line. You see all these people buying these Beyonce tickets. You see folks taking these extravagant trips. You see folks spending on expensive cars and expensive homes and all these things. We find money for what we find value in.
Yes,
And so I think procrastination is the highest because it's an issue of, well, yeah, I don't really need to do it right now. Like there's nothing right now specifically that I have to worry about, but I do need to take this trip. And I
right.
do need to, buy this. And I do need, I need to do all of these other things. But I don't really need to focus too much on this because there's time, my family will take care of it. Like there's always a thing, and we're procrastinating over it, not because we really feel like we don't have the money. We find the money for what we need.
That's pretty good. That's
That's
pretty
without
good.
question.
And I would say fear of the process is another one of those things that kind of catches people up, because I've heard people actually say that they think that if they do estate planning, that means someone's going to die. So, that's another fallacy. It's the way people think. It might be superstitious, but it's really not factual. So I have this whole list. I'll just go through the rest of them, and we're going to talk about the one thing about why people think they have nothing. But cost is another reason people put off estate planning. Lack of understanding of the process, family conflicts, belief that it's unnecessary. That's what we're really talking about in a way, and belief that it's too early. So these are some of the reasons people put it off. But the one thing we hear a lot is that people think they don't have assets. And we want to kind of delve into that for our the rest of the show. Why don't people think they have enough to leave a legacy or to do estate planning?
So let me say good morning to Miss Tracy. Always appreciate you tuning in with us. Say good morning to Mr. Rigo.
Good
Always appreciate you.
morning.
Rigoberto is here. Tracy
Thank
says
you.
trips are life. Yeah, trips are life because Tracy is always on a plane. And we know there's two places that Tracy is going. And I'm not going to say those places. Rigo says also make sure that they put down their banking PIN numbers or any PIN numbers to the accounts, because that's the information that you would need once your loved one is gone. You can't get that information. It's so interesting that you say that, Rigo. My aunt, when she was in the hospital before she passed, there was a whole thing with us talking about her stuff and paying her bills and things like that. And she trusted me to handle her affairs. So she was like, all right, here's this, here's that. And I was like, okay, I got these papers from the house. I started to ask her questions because, first of all, we didn't know that she was going to pass away while she was in the hospital. We were just thinking, all right, they're going to figure out what's wrong with her. They're going to send her home and we're going to be good to go. Little did we know they were going to be keeping her for longer than expected. Thank God I had already gotten a ton of papers from her house. I had the access to her bank account. I had the access to some important things, her keys to her place, all the basic things that I needed. And I was able to thankfully handle some final affairs for her. And she, figure out some things. And thankfully she had beneficiaries on her account. She had life insurance, but without the PIN numbers and access to her information, I would have been having to go through the probate court process to figure all these things out.
Exactly. And we know banks, when banks find out that someone has died, they typically just go ahead and freeze everything and they wait to basically receive notification how to proceed from the probate court.
Right.
So that's really good that you had all of that information. Now, there are situations where people might just have a job and a bank account, and maybe they don't have a lot of savings and they just have the stuff that they own in their home. So, Sandy, are those people excluded from estate planning? Should they just forget about it?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think anybody should be excluded from estate planning. I think the important thing to understand is no matter what it is that you have, there may be a need for a plan because we have things that we don't really consider as something. We're always saying, oh, I have nothing. I don't really have anything. I don't have anything. All right, let's go down a list of just some basic things. You live somewhere. You have things in that home or apartment or condo, whatever it is. You have things in that home, right?
You might have
Those
a
are your,
car.
you may have a car, right? Those are things that you own. So how can you can't say you have nothing when you have items that you own in your possession, right?
Right.
Most of us in this day and age have financial accounts. If you have a
Something.
financial account, you have something, right?
Right.
I'm going to shout out to my girl Tracy, catching flights, not feelings.
I
Many
know
of us
Tracy.
accumulate frequent flyer miles. Those have a value. Most of us don't realize that, but those rewards and those points that we get as we're doing different things in our lives, those items have value.
Yes.
And we don't think about those things. Tracy's laughing. We don't think about those things as being something.
That's
Instead,
true.
we're very fixated and we seem to think somehow that because, we have this thing, it doesn't have value. But, this is my thought right here.
What's that?
We're going to sing some songs today. We're going to sing some songs today. That's
We have songs for you. We have full entertainment here on Two Lawyers Talk Legacy because we know some of you think lawyers are totally boring at shows like this, and we didn't want to be like that.
Look, it's going to be a morning today. I really want people to understand that when we think we have nothing, we really are not recognizing what nothing is. Nothing means there is no transfer of anything, right? So if I am living somewhere, it's not my place and I have nothing there. It's kind of like, I remember I had a job back in the day. And when I left that job, I had nothing there. So if someone would ask me what you had there, I had nothing there. I literally took my bag.
You were gone.
And I was done at the end of the day. I took my bag and I left. I didn't have a nan picture, candy, pens, pencil. I literally took my purse and my roller bag and I walked out the door.
There's your definition of nothing.
That's nothing. That means I don't have nothing to pick up.
Right, but think about those people that might pass away and might have six, $5,000 or $6,000 in their bank account. They left no will. They have heirs, and now their heirs have to spend money and find ways to get those things that could have been passed down easily if you had that person done estate planning. And if you have to hire a lawyer, you're digging into the money or whatever that legacy is that could have been passed down to the heirs or beneficiaries. So people think like just because it's a little, that doesn't mean it's nothing.
Look, Tracy says, look, I use them every year. I'm leaving nothing. She's not leaving not one frequent flyer mile behind. She's going to make
You
sure she
know,
taps into every single ounce.
I don't blame
Um,
you.
so Rigo says, what about people that are on Section 8 or housing and they pass away? Who notifies them besides the family? And how does that get taken care of if the family doesn't even have any information about it? So a lot of things have to be figured out once somebody passes away. And I will tell you something that we do as attorneys. We often have to become investigators,
Oh yeah.
and we're basically, if somebody passes away and they were on Section 8 housing and we have to make sure that we close out that file per se, we got to contact Section 8 and say, hey, what happens when someone passes away? And a lot of times they may ask for some court paperwork to say that this person has the authority to even inquire about the situation, to even ask questions. So a lot of these issues that you're referencing, Rigo, is we may have to get the authority of a court in order to even address it, if there's anything to address, right? So it's going to be a question of, is there maybe a payment that was made on the day that the person passed away and maybe that payment
Mhm.
shouldn't have been made?
Right.
Are there automatic drafts coming out of a bank account and we need to notify a financial institution or like a Section 8 housing or homeowners association? Do we have to notify somebody? And if we do have to notify somebody, is there any paperwork that needs to be completed? And who needs to complete that paperwork? So
Exactly.
I think it's important to understand that there may be layers to this conversation. But for someone to say that they have nothing, it gives me very great concern, because I can go down an inventory of things and I'm certain that every single person that I can think of will at least be able to check something off the list, which means either a will would be needed if you pass away, or
Hmm.
if it's a matter of you becoming unable to handle your daily affairs and you need like a power of attorney or something, then you need to have a power of attorney in place. So we got to think of it from beyond you know, the big picture things,
Right.
house, money in the bank, investments.
Boats and yachts. I mean, we're not talking that big. We're just talking the basics. And a lot of times our clients are just everyday people. They could be people who work every day, or they could be people who are retired and have lots of money. But the point is that if you happen to be that client that works a lot and maybe does not have a lot of savings, we still need you to sit down with us and talk with us and have a conversation about your assets, because we all have the ability to leave a legacy. And as Sandy was just stating, a will is a good place to start, because what if all you have, say, is like a record collection, to your favorite album collection, or you may be a musician and you have a house full of valuable instruments. If you have three children and say everybody wants what you have equally, and you don't leave a will, well, you know, I don't know, it could lead to family confusion. Why do that? Why not make a will and just do things in decency and in order? That's the motto I really love in this practice of law. I think even when you're leaving life and you're going on home to the next hereafter and beyond, we still should do things in decency and in order, and that involves our transition from this world to the hereafter.
Let me see if I can get my song to play.
Oh boy. Yep. So Whitney Houston's "I Have Nothing" pretty much says it all, Sandy.
Look, let me tell y'all something. We have to really be conscious of our actions while we are living, because it could make a tremendous difference in what our family is going to have to go through after we pass away. So I'm going to give you an example. Looking at what Rigo just said here, he said, now by chance, when you ladies have those estate planning seminar, is there documents that can perform the job or something to be filled out that the family member would have that information, because you can never get answers from a dead person? Well, here's the thing. If someone's already passed away, we have an inventory of items that we look through, right? We go down a list. Did they have real estate? Did they have vehicles? Did they have money in the bank? Did they have investments? Did they have retirement? Do they own any other types of things like digital assets? Folks who are YouTubers, did they have a YouTube channel? Was it monetized? Did they have social media channels? Were they monetized? Did they create other content in social spaces?
Yeah.
And did they make money off of that? Did they
Mhm.
have books? Did they have artwork? Were they a musician? You go down an endless list and you try to figure out what that person potentially had. And how you would figure out after someone passes away is, unfortunately, you have to kind of go through their stuff. When my aunt passed away, literally, I had some paperwork, but I wasn't sure if she had life insurance or not. So at that time, we had to go to her apartment like 5 or 6 deep, and we're going through paper, everybody creating stacks. All right, this is a stack of important documents, this is medical records, this is bills, this is other stuff about her apartment, this is information about her doctors, this is information about some other things that she has. And we had to create piles and put things in bags. And then when I found the life insurance, that was my first call. And then I saw some medical stuff. So that kind of gave me some idea, maybe this is what happened and why she ended up in the hospital. Then I found some other stuff. I was like, she might have had life insurance before. So I got to check and see if that policy is still valid. She has a bank account. I see bank statements. I see a checkbook. So now I have to start digging and checking all of those things, because if there is anything, we have to make sure that we figure out what is the avenue to get access to those things and who is the beneficiary or heir of those things. Did she have a will? Did she have these other things? So it's a lot of little things that you kind of have to dig into to figure out.
Yeah.
Um, and Lisa, Tracy's asking the question, can you talk a little bit about what happens when someone passes with a will versus without a will with
Yeah.
regards to the process?
Yeah, well, I tell you, when someone dies with a will, the will specifies very clearly, or it should, who receives those assets. As Sandy was saying, there's a list. You can go down, if it's a house, car, property, that will is going to spell out who the beneficiaries are. The beneficiaries don't just have to be family members, it could be your friends, it could be a charitable organization. You can give your property to whom you will, but you list who those beneficiaries are, and you give it away. And a will is only effective upon your death. Now, if you have no will, then the state tells your representative who your property is going to. Period. It could be someone you hated in your family line, someone that you haven't spoken to in 50 years, and that might be the person that ends up with all your stuff. Okay? Because you did no planning whatsoever when you have no will. So that's the difference. Your heirs receive your property when you have no will. And if you have a will, you pick and choose who the beneficiaries are of your will. So that would be the basic distinction that I could give there. Sandy, you want to add anything to that?
I would say the most important thing is, with a will, your decisions are what matter. Without a will, we're now relying on state law, and that's what's going to matter. So it's important to recognize that, do you want your voice to be heard, or do you want the court to be heard? That
Yep.
that
It's
that's your
one or
option
the
there.
other. It's either you make a choice or someone chooses for you. How about that?
I mean, that's the avenue.
Did you find our theme song for this show?
Hold on, I seem to be on a call. Oh, okay. I was getting a call. I'm so sorry. So sorry. I have to make sure. Yeah. So when Whitney says that you have nothing, she means it. But she said, I have nothing if I don't have you. So
Right.
the you in this equation for me is going to be your attorney, because you have to make sure that you align what your final intentions are, what your intentions are in the event that something happens to you, what your desires are for your assets. You
Yeah.
have to make sure that those align with the language that needs to be in the documents,
Yeah.
right? The documents themselves are not just based on just boilerplate language. Like, you don't just take a document and fill in some blanks. The document should be based upon what your desires are, what your intentions are, who you want your things to go to, whether you want to be buried or cremated, or, whatever it is that you want. That is what your documents are for, whether it's the after death or whether it's the while I'm living and I become unable to handle my affairs.
Yeah,
So the big thing is, do you want your decisions to be put in place after your passing by creating your will and creating your power of attorney and your health care while you're living, um, or do you want someone else to make decisions for you?
that's I mean, that's basically what it comes down to in terms of a will versus not having a will. So keep that in mind and just remember that we have more than we think we have. And even the poorest person in the country probably has more than they think they have. You see what I'm saying? And so it's just a matter sometimes of sitting down with an attorney, spending a 1 hour consultation to learn more about these things in this area of law that could benefit us now and benefit others in the future.
Tracy asked the question, do you have to take the will to the court once someone passes? Now, this is a very important question because depending on where you are, there are going to be some rules and regulations about what happens after someone passes away when it comes to the will. Now, some states may have a registry of wills where someone can deposit their will before they pass away, right? They can deposit their actual document with the court so that when they pass away, their will is already with the court. Now, that becomes a little problematic when you make changes to your will. So you have to, now deposit a new will each time. Other states have rules about, whether attorneys can hold on to wills after someone passes away and then the attorney submits the will to the court. So generally speaking, I would say this answer is going to be yes, because oftentimes you're going to have to go through a probate court process in order for the will to be presented to the court and to be approved by the court, because wills have formalities. There are things that have to be done for a will to be effective. And so when you submit your will to the court, the goal is, if you're going through the probate court process, for the court to determine that the will is valid, right? It satisfies certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say generally, yes. Lisa, I mean, you're licensed in Ohio as well. Do they have any kind of will registry or depository for wills?
Yes, Ohio has a will depository, so you can put your will on deposit with the court. And I did that a lot for my clients in Ohio because, people move. Sometimes they misplace documents. But if you tell your folks, like, look, I've created my will is on deposit with the probate court in Broward County, Miami-Dade, Hamilton County, it's already there. All you have to do is go and look it up at that point and begin probate. I think that is such a great, great service that the courts offer, and that is to hold wills on deposit for people.
Let me see here. Tracy. Tracy says, keep that song as your waiting music when people call you.
Oh my goodness, that would be good. Yeah, actually, it would be good. But like I said, we just wanted to start the show with the point that people have a lot more to do estate planning with than they think they do. So don't ever discount your personal belongings and the value of the things you own personally. Those things can all be put in a will. You can give all your minks away to one person and all your album collection to someone else. So the things we have do have value, and we should engage in estate planning. And I think one of the reasons that we named this show Legacy is because we should always be of the mindset that we can benefit others. We're not going to be here forever. The things that we have are valuable, and that they can benefit others that deserve to have these things that that we feel deserve. So just think of legacy as blessing the next generation, if you will, and keeping something going that you started great and putting it in the hands of those who will continue to be responsible.
And just a reminder, folks, just to, plug in, we're going to be here on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. here. on our YouTube channel, Learn Biz the Podcast. We'll also be broadcasting simultaneously on our Two Lawyers Talk Legacy page. So eventually, we'll probably do some switch outs and stuff like that. But wanted to make sure that you guys are aware and that you are ready for these topics, because we're going to ask you to share your thoughts and ideas about these topics and to come up with some things that will be helpful to us in this conversation. So please don't forget to click like, click subscribe, share this video. And let me see, somebody's calling me right now, Lisa. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why they're calling me right now. I'm so sorry.
Oh my God.
So sorry. So sorry.
Oh wait, I just said, can I hear that one more time? I just feel so good to hear it.
Hold on, the phone's ringing again. It's ringing. What's happening here? I can't seem to get it to stop. It says it has nothing.
It's just, okay. Wait, is there a malfunction?
I'm sorry. It was coming back on. I'm so sorry. Sorry, guys. People be telling me they have nothing every day, and I just be like, what's going on here, guys? Like, let's slow down. So, yeah, we're gonna wrap up, guys, because we're gonna try to keep these short. We'll focus on one topic for each episode. If you have any thoughts, ideas, questions, please don't hesitate to send them to us. So again, thank you for tuning in to Two Lawyers Talk Legacy. We're gonna be on here Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and look forward to catching up with you guys again soon.
See you next time.
Bye, guys.